Hi guys, good evening. Thank you so much for coming to today's class. Well, I'm gonna start by sharing my syllabus. Today we are going to see about English for food critics. So, the first unit, these are the 4 units, and I'm gonna be using the unit number 1, which is vocabulary to describe dishes, plus what to consider when rating a restaurant. And from unit 1, the 1.1, which is food adjectives and rating a restaurant experience. Now, let's move on to my lesson plan. Here you have it. I'm going to be using slides, obviously, my computer, some pictures, and finally a quiz. So let's go. I'm going to share my slides. So, to start this food critique class, I have to let you know that I am a certified food critic. Here you can see my gold medal. It's pure gold. So, food critic is sometimes a job that is not really taken into consideration. Sometimes people can think it's an easy job, but it's not that easy. Okay, so let's see. The objective of the class is that you students will learn and apply food-related vocabulary to describe dishes and evaluate restaurant experiences confidently and accurately. So let's move up to the warm-up. Here, all of you are going to write on the chat a rate from 1 to 10, okay? When I show you the picture, you rate, for example, Jandri says 6, Carlos says 4. Okay, depending on the picture, on what you see the food is. Okay? Here, you can write your ratings on the chat. I'm going to be watching you. Okay. Carlos says 9. Mercedes says 9. Alejandro says, no, Mercedes said 8. Alejandro said 8. Andres 8. Alejandra 9. Jandri 8. Okay, perfect. Let's move on to the next. Here, sushi. I want to see your ratings. Okay, 10, 9, 9, 9. Okay, most of you like, okay, 9.5. Okay, let's move on to the next one. This is salmon. Okay, so I'm going to be 9.99. Oh, okay, what a specific number. 7, 8, 10, 8. Okay. And finally, 0, 1. Okay, 2. That has to be positive. Well, 4, 8. What happened
Teacher,
there?
what is this? Sorry.
This is 0. This is a way of how not to present a food. I can see there's some, I think, chicken wings, and some onion rings in the middle. It's a representation of what you shouldn't see in a restaurant. Okay? So, presentation is key when you are going to eat something. Here we have the same dish in two completely different presentations. On the X side, we have like the little whole fish. You can even see the teeth of the fish right here. And it's served, it just seems wrong. But on the right side, the side with the green tick, you can see part of the fish, probably the juiciest part, like with the same red sauce, but the plate seems cleaner. It seems appetizing. Okay? That is what a plate costs visually to the customer. So we have to move on to some positive vocabulary to talk about, to describe a food, a dish, sorry. First, we have tasty. When something tastes good, it has flavor, it's good to the palate. Then we have fresh. All of us, I hope we all of us have fresh fish or fresh meat, something that feels soft. Number three, we have good flavor. It's not bland. It has the perfect amount of salt, pepper, condiments. And finally, tender. I think at any point of our lives, all of us had to deal with meat that is absolutely not tender, but tender is the right term when talking about any kind of meat. So, like, as the other side of the coin, we have the negative vocabulary. First, we have bland. That means it has zero flavor. Old, something that is not fresh, something that has been sitting in the fridge for weeks. Unbalanced flavor. It's something that maybe the sourness or in the sweetness doesn't get well together. And finally, something dry. That's more typically talk about meat. When the meat is dried, the chicken, for example, the breast chicken, sometimes it can be very dry. So, what should you consider when rating a restaurant? It has a very fewer points here. So, the environment of the whole restaurant, it involves the experience. This is not a good environment when you come into a restaurant and there are a lot of unwashed dishes on the table and it seems wrong compared to this. The people eating in their seats, maybe if there's a table that it has no more customers on it, the table should be cleaned right after the customers get up from the table. Something else to consider is the presentation of the dishes. For example, here we have a dark plate where you can see the food highlighting its colors, okay? It's something totally different from this. This just looks messy. This just looks like it has too much food. It's messy. Why? Because you can see here some carrots, right? And you can see also here some carrots, see some carrots. And it looks like the filling of here in the middle is spread all over the dish. It just doesn't look right. Another thing to consider is how long does every course takes to arrive? How much time is it? For example, when the course takes too long to arrive, I'm talking about 15 to 30 minutes, the conversation between the customers, it can get boring. It can be an awkward silence. That is totally different when the waiter is constantly coming and offering maybe a glass of wine if there's any delay in the kitchen, a glass of wine, something to drink, maybe a cocktail, just to be taking care of their customers. And finally, the service from the waiters. It's a totally different experience to have this. The waiter is kind of giving a little show with the wine, maybe to make time until the food arrives, all getting all the attention from the customers, than this attitude from a waiter that just doesn't like her job. She just don't want to talk with the customer and it doesn't care at all. So we now have the practice time. We are going to rate the restaurant now thinking as a food critic. Okay? So I want to see your ratings on the chat and I'm going to ask any of you, why did you give the rating to this environment? Okay? You can write your ratings also from 1 to 10. And I'm going to ask any of you, why did you give that rating? You can watch the whole picture, you can analyze it. That's why the picture is big. Five, Mercedes said five. Why Mercedes? Why did you rate this restaurant a five from 10?
Okay, I gave a 5 to the picture because I like the environment. I like that it looks very elegant, the restaurant. But the thing that I don't like, for example, that is a very, very messy table where all the dirty dishes, and also something that I noticed that the waiters' faces, they are like, mm, I don't know, maybe they don't love or they even don't like their work. And yeah, for that reason, I gave to this picture 5.
Yes, the waiters seem to be too serious. They maybe need to throw a little smile right in there. Okay, that is perfect. Let's move on. Thank you to all of you for rating. Let's move on to the next picture. Here, I want to see your ratings on the chat, please. And again, I'm going to ask any of you, why did you give this restaurant that rating? Okay. Alejandro, you gave this restaurant a 9. Can you tell us why did you rate 9 this restaurant?
Yeah, of course. First, because I like the environment, because of course the customers are happy, the waiters as well, they are happy. But the environment is a little bit dark. It's just my opinion, so that's why I rate a 9.
Okay, that is perfect. Maybe it would be a 10 for you if there would be more lighting. It could be not too dark. Okay, that is perfect. Thank you, all of you, for rating again. And let's move on to the next. Oh, this is clearly, this picture talks for itself. So I want to see your ratings. Jandri, you were one of the first who said 0. Ew, 0. Yeah, I know. Jandri, I know it's obvious, but why did you give this restaurant a 0?
So from the beginning, I just noticed the rat, and that was everything. It's something that cannot be in a restaurant. It's not, how to say it, it's not good for customer health, and it gives a horrible presentation to the restaurant. Honestly, I never would like to come to that restaurant and eat something of the menu. So I just would like to disappear or that someone close that restaurant, in my honest opinion.
Yes, yes, that is unacceptable. Even though here the waiter is smiling a little bit, but no, this animal here is unacceptable. Thank you so much for your participation, guys. And let's move on to the quiz. So I'm going to be sharing the quiz now. You don't have to do it on your phone. We are going to do it here on the screen. So let's move on here. Okay. Here are going to be a few questions, not too much, and you can answer them opening your microphones and talking. Okay? Oh, I think it needs you to enter. So here you have the QR. And here is the code. Okay, we have Carlos here. Alejandra, Yandri. Share the link. Okay, I'm gonna share the link. Let me stop share. I'm gonna share with you the link through the chat. Okay, you have the link now in the chat. And let's wait a few seconds more to begin. Is the link working? Can you enter? I mean, Alejandra, Carlos, and Yandri could. But the rest of you, is it any problem about the link?
I'm trying to connect.
Oh yeah, don't worry. Okay, let's begin with the people who is here, and the rest of you who couldn't enter, you can answer opening your microphones, okay?
Okay.
Let's begin. Which of these options are not necessary to take into account when rating a restaurant? Which is not necessary? What do you think?
Weather.
The weather, exactly. Wait. Yes, the weather was the correct answer. So let's move on to the next one. Okay. A food critique needs to be mean. Is it true or false?
Not necessarily mean. I think it is false.
Yes, exactly. It's not necessary to be mean. Okay, yes, the correct answer was false. Let's move to the next one. Which of these terms is positive to describe a dish? Which of them is a positive term?
Fresh.
Fresh. Exactly. Fresh. Fresh is the positive term here. And to the final one. A food critique has to analyze everything to deliver a comment. Everything. The environment, the presentation, the service. Is it true or false?
I
True.
think true.
It is true. Yes, exactly. So that was all the evaluation. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. I know you've been paying attention, and that makes me glad. So finally, the next class, we are gonna see how to compose a written account describing your experience at a restaurant, how you turn your experience into a writing and then to be published. So that was all for today. Thank you so much for coming, guys.
Thank you, Miss.